Hey, what's up, everybody? Bitcoin is like $4,000 away from $100,000. That's pretty cool. So Bitcoin is still holding above 90,000, 95,000 now, as we are kind of stuck in this little range here, which is to be expected because there's a lot of resistance you can see all throughout in here, right? So it's definitely a big roadblock, and I wouldn't be surprised if we had to come back down to the bottom or even have some type of bigger ABC, kind of back down to here and retest that area, kind of flagging out a little bit, just to retest this back test level of what is that, like 87K, 88K, almost 90K, right? Before then continuing higher. Obviously, we don't have to do that. For example, we could be flagging out like this. It's kind of like a reverse flag, kind of like what we did there. You kind of pop up, you reverse flag, and then continue on. A lot of times those are associated with running flats. And this looks like a running flat. Yeah, it's technically a running flat. So it's a little bit challenging to see where the A is, but it looks like A, right? And then it looks like B, and then it looks like C. So you have 3 down, 3 up, and then 5 down. This is an A, B, C running flat. So what we could have here, guys, is a wave 1. If this is a wave 1, remember, Jerome Powell, I think he should be speaking today in about 15 minutes or so. So I believe they're going to hold the interest rates. Obviously, the president wants the rates to be lowered. So I'm sure if they hold the rates, Trump's definitely going to say something. But we don't really know exactly what Trump is planning as far as, because he's a mind game expert. He knows really how to do mind games. And like, for example, if he wants the Fed to lower rates and he comes out and says lower rates, knowing that they are against him, knowing that they're going to keep the rates held, maybe that's what he really wants, is for them to hold the rates. So if we get some kind of recession, Trump can then come out and say, well, hey, I told you to lower the rates and you didn't listen. You held the rates. I said lower the rates and you didn't. So you're the cause of the recession, not me. I have my trade deals with China going on. I'm signing deals with countries every day in regards to the tariffs. China is still on the table, right? So I'm doing my part as far as the economy. There's a lot going on. You have a lot of companies investing. I think he said like 9 or 10 trillion dollars is coming into this country because companies and well, the consumers and companies, they don't want to pay for the tariffs. So Trump says, look, just build your product here. So a lot of money's pouring in to the country. So you have a lot of good things going on, but you also have some weird things going on, like, the people's economy is what Trump is trying to build, the people's economy. But the people's economy is built on a central banking fiat currency monetary enslavement system that is nothing but basically a disaster, right? If you take $20 and go in a time machine in 1970, you're going to buy a lot of stuff with that. Now you can't buy anything with $20, right? So the money is dying, okay? Our money is dying, right? So that's the number one problem with the world, with the United States. It's money. That's what it's about. People, oh, it's the border, it's illegal immigration. Well, that's got something to do with it too, but it's mostly about money, right? That's what it's all about. That's what people really care about. That's the number one reason why people get a divorce, I think, is because of money, right? Money is a really complicated situation, especially, if you don't have it figured out. So, what I'm saying is the money system is broken. That's why we're in crypto. This is why we're talking about crypto, right? Because this is the solution, not Bitcoin, but this is the solution to the problem that Trump is really trying to expose, which is the banking system. But he can't come out and say, the Fed, we got to end the Fed, we got to audit the Fed, we got to go to a gold standard, we got to get, he can't say that. They're going to be like, where did this come from? See, the Fed has to, the optics have to remain that the Fed is independent, and because I feel like the only way we can change out of this system we're in is for an event to happen. And that event could be a recession. That event could be like another C-19 style event. It could be like a war breaking out. It could be something that really degrades the economy. Or it could just be the economy just simply degrading as far as job numbers, unemployment, and things like that. But, all the statistical numbers, which are easily rigged and manipulated. So, and then at that point, if the Fed doesn't lower rates, then it's their responsibility as to why the economy is in a recession, right? So once we're in a recession, right, I don't know what the game plan is, but I'm just thinking in terms of if we need a new system, how do we get to that system? Well, we have to expose the old system. Well, how do we do that? Well, we have to tell the Fed to lower rates, and knowing that they're not going to lower rates, so that when we get a recession, we can blame the Fed and say, hey, why do we even have the Fed in the first place? Right? Why do we? And then people could say, well, you could have fired Powell. Why didn't you fire Powell? Oh, because he's got to be independent, like you tell me, right? So there's a lot of unknowns, right? And the reason I'm bringing the Fed up and stuff is because interest rates play a big role on what's going to happen here. But we do know the money supply, the M2 money supply, I believe is increasing. Let me see here. I believe I've seen a couple videos of, let's see here, of the interest rates increasing. And yes, they definitely are increasing. You can see there. I believe this is what it is, the M2 money stock. So there you go. And you can kind of see it's a little bit correlated here. You could see Bitcoin, well, actually, let me lower this a little bit. Yeah, you could see obviously we were rising in this area. We had a bear market. You could see we pulled back, right? And then we started leveling off as Bitcoin kind of cups around. And then Bitcoin sort of slices really quickly as the M2's kind of just chilling here. But if you notice, the angle here was a lot steeper than the angle here. Yet the price is a lot sort of on a faster or a more abrupt sort of direction versus back over here. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if this, if we do have a recession, first of all, if we have interest rates, because you could see we're right at the almost the breakout level for, you could see we're nearly about to break out of this M2 money supply here. You can see there's the resistance. So this thing can really start to accelerate, which means more inflation, right? So what does the Fed do? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But they're expected to pause. So, but anyways, that's my little rant for today. Let's jump into something that people actually care about, which is XRP. So we're at $2.12. We're kind of just, it's pretty boring, we're kind of just consolidating really for the last 3 months. I mean, we had a doji here, we had a doji here, and then we have another doji. Well, actually should say 2 months. We just started this month, so let's see how it continues to play out. But the assumption here is that this right here is flagging out, and we should eventually break out. I mean, that's the goal. Why do I say that? Well, because then we have 5 waves, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that's the idea. And then also you can see that this structure, you could see if this is the resistance line right here, you can see we're cupping into the resistance, right? That's what you want. You want to cup into the resistance and then pull back higher low and then cup into the resistance again. And then that gives you a cup and handle or a W formation, right? or really a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off. Will we get the blast off? I think so. I think so. Obviously, it's very complicated right now because, you got the tariffs, you got the what's going on with the Fed. So it's a little bit tricky, but the charts say XRP should come back up. If for whatever reason, let's say something crazy happens and the Fed starts raising rates completely opposite of what Trump says, and that would really bring the economy down, and then the Fed would be really blamed. But if that were to happen, we could see this, back test $1.50 or even $1. Unfortunately, that would be the case, coming back down really deep here, really deep. What number is that exactly? So if I take a line right about there and there we go. So that's like between $1. This is the monthly chart, right? I'm just using the monthly order blocks, but about $1.20, $1.50, right? Worst case scenario, we had to break down, right? And then I would imagine that would be the big move up. And then you can look at it like a 1-2, 1-2, right? And then we're in our wave 3 now, and then we still get 4 and 5 later if that's a 1-2, 1-2. But so far it's 3 up, 3 down, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, which is an ABC. So we shall see. Let's look a little closer here. So again, we should get some volatility today. Obviously, the Fed is going to be speaking, so we'll see what happens. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of shenanigans because, there's a lot of questions that need to be asked by these reporters to the Fed about, the tariffs and the economy. So any little word salad they use could flip the market really fast in here. So we'll see. But I'll tell you what I do like, though. What I do like is the fact, let's put it on the 4-hour, is the fact that we're going down into the meeting, because the meeting is happening like now, right? I think the meeting's on right now. So we are live. Well, I'm not live, but as I'm recording this, the meeting is on right now. Okay. So I just heard Powell for just a brief second, and basically he said, inflation is definitely down from 2021, 2022, but it's still a little bit elevated. So, whatever that means as far as the markets go, that's what, because people don't really care about the economy when they listen to Powell. They care about the market, right? That's what really matters to people. Like, normal people like the economy, but normal people don't even know who Powell is. I guarantee if you go to any college campus and ask 10 different people, who's Jerome Powell, maybe 2 of them will know. 2 out of 10 of those people would know, which is kind of sad, right? But, whatever. I think, so let's talk about what's going on right now. So, first of all, and to understand what this is, we have to understand what this is, because this wave is definitely tricky. See, there's a couple of different ways that this can happen. So I'm just going to go through the ideas, right? But before I do that, real quick, the main idea here is that this is a 4th wave, right? Let me just remove all of this, remove everything off the screen. So again, we are in a 4th wave. 1, flag out for 2, 3, flag out for 4, 5. Pretty basic, pretty simple. So if we look at wave 4, we can see the structure of what it is, right? Which is what? It's an expanded flat, which is you got 3 down, you got 3 up, and then you have 1, 2, 3 back down, right? So that's a WXY formation. So you have 3 down, you have 3 up, and then you have 3 back down. The 3 back down is the most important part of that structure, which is this structure right here. And I really like the shape of that structure. So, and then what was born out of that structure was this wave right here. And if we look at that wave very closely, we can totally see very clearly what it is, which is a 5-wave move, which is exactly what we wanted. This is a diagonal pattern. So it's sort of an overlapping kind of wave. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that's without a doubt, unequivocally, that's what it is. Very clear wave structure. Now, the part where it's a little bit challenging is, do we marry this wave to this wave, or are these two separate waves? It could be a little bit challenging. From my perspective, it looks kind of like two separate waves because you had such a long period right here. So, and it's definitely in a different degree, right? But if it was the same wave, you could look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So that's the question. Is that the 5-wave move? Or is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, and then 2, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, and then 2? Is that a 1, 2, 1, 2? Or is this whole thing just one wave, right? But if you look at the shape of the wave, it's only 3. That's the issue, right? So if we flag out here for a 4 and then we come up and get a 5, I'm going to really like it as a 1, 2, 1, 2, honestly. But if it's not, if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's your wave 1. And then you have A, B, C. That could be your wave 2. And then we go up for a wave 3. But here's the thing. Wave 2 can be more complex than what it looks like. For example, you have 3 waves down. This could go up in 3 and then back down in 5 or 3, right? So you could get a larger, more complex 3-wave move, and that still could be your wave 1. This is your wave 2, and we still have to go all the way back down to $2. So, which is not far away, but we could go back down to $2 very easily and still be very, very, very bullish, right? So, but right now, I'm looking at this as a 3-wave move. So if that's the case, then I expect at least 3 waves back up, right? So let's see what happens when we get back to like 220, 230. I mean, there's no guarantee that's going to happen, but we'll see. I didn't like the price action in here because it was bottlenecking, right? It was bottlenecking and it looked bearish. So, but if I turn the RSI on, we have bullish divergence very, very strongly here. Let's see, how far does that divergence go up? Does it go on the 4? Nope, does not go on the 4-hour. Does not go on the 3-hour, but it does stay with the 2-hour. So at least for that time, it's you got some bullish divergence. We'll see what makes of it. So let's zoom in on this wave. Do we have 5 on that wave? Let's take a look. No, we have 3. So we only have 3 waves here. Let's actually go to this XRP chart. It's going to be way better if I can find it really quickly. All right, there we go. So yeah, so here's the thing. So if this is a B, C, is the C wave finished? Well, it might not be, because you could have, for example, 1, 2, all of that's 3, that's 4, and then we get 5. And then it could be finished. And then you sort of have like 3 down, 3 up, and then 5 down. So A, B, C. And then you're kind of back down here, you build support, and then you go for the retrace. That's obviously one idea. But it could be finished now. This could be finished, right? And this could be the start of another move up like this, right? Because since it's only 3 and then 3 down, I would expect you would probably get 3 back down here and then maybe go up in 5. And then maybe you got some more correcting. You're building a platform, a base before you continue higher, because it's really about the price building a volume profile within these different price levels, right? So there's bids and there's orders all over the map. in these price areas, and the price sort of gravitates towards where the liquidity is, right? So as these liquidity pockets get filled in, it's an interesting dynamic here. So as long as, you could see the box right here. Actually, let me put this here. So if we take a rectangle here and just put it right there, you can see that's kind of the box that we should stay in. We don't really want to go below this low right here. We want to stay above that $2 level. So, we could, flag out a little bit more, play around a little bit, but then eventually get back up here. So that's kind of what I'm thinking in the grand scheme of things. So I'm just not sure if this is 1, 2, 1, 2, or if this whole thing is wave 1 and we still have like 3 down, 3 up, 3 back down, and then, something a little bit more complicated. But it doesn't change the overall direction of where I believe we're going. And of course, what I believe isn't financial advice. I could be totally wrong, and XRP can go to 0. But obviously, that's almost, who honestly believes that? But no, but seriously, I could be wrong, and it could just crash, So you just don't really know for sure. We're just using the structure because that's all we have, right? There's other things Wall Street pays millions of dollars for, but what most people have is a chart, and that's primarily what they look at, the big boys. Even JP Morgan trading desk, Jamie Dimon calls the trading desk often and asks, hey, what's going on, So, yeah. So the big goal here is to get into the retrace levels. So if we pull the retracements down, let me make sure this is not on log scale. Whoops, what happened there? We're good. Okay. Perfection. All right. So we're good. We're in between the 382 and the 236. So the goal is to get back into these numbers, 618, especially in the golden zone. That's where I believe we're heading next. After this correction, the correction might take a little long. It could last all week, maybe even into next week. But ultimately, I think we should be heading between 250 and 270 in this golden zone. And then we'll see what happens from there. So, all right. So there's one other idea that I think you'll like. And this is basically what we have here is, let me just get rid of that and let me get rid of that. So basically what this is, a different idea is we have, check this out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your wave 1 right there. And this is an A. This is a B. And this is a C, or it could be a WXY, but I'll just say ABC. But basically what it is a wave 2, right? So you have a wave 1, A, B, C, 2, and what we have here could potentially be a running flat. Now, there's no guarantee it's a running flat. It could continue down, and it can turn into an expanded flat, right? It could turn into like A, B, C, and come way the hell down here in an expanded flat, and then kind of go up. So, but I don't like it as an expanded flat. I don't like it as a flat because this, the way it would work is you have 3 down, and then you have 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is an expanded flat here for the B wave, right? That's the only way it would work, because if this is 1, 2, 3, right, and then you have kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, B waves don't technically have 5 waves, but if it's part of a flat A, B, C, then technically that 5-wave move is part of the C wave of the B wave of this flat, if that's not confusing. I don't think it was. So, yeah, that's it for XRP. I think we're good. what I was going to say is I like the fact that we're going down into the speech as opposed to going up into the speech. So Jerome Powell is speaking, and that's good because we've been going down, right? Since, what is that, like April 28th was right around there. So we've been going down for what, almost over a week, more than a week, right? We've been going down, 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 down. So we're going down into the speech, right? So that's a good thing because a lot of times when Powell speaks, this is the big volatility day. You get, you could come down and take the low, whatever, but ultimately the counter direction in which it's going usually ends up in the opposite direction after it's said and done. So in this case, it would be going up, right? So we'll see. We'll see. There's no guarantee, and it doesn't always happen that way, right? I mean, this can keep trending down even after Powell speaks. And then once Powell stops speaking, right, maybe a day passed by, and then that's when we start trailing back up. So it's really a tough spot to be in because you're kind of in the middle of this upper part and the lower part. You're right in the middle here, right? But the good thing is you're correcting down. You're not correcting up. At least not on the larger time frames. So yeah, let's see what happens in here. If we have to come back down to $2 before back up, it is what it is. But I think we have a very solid chance at holding this right here. So if this has to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, right? We didn't talk about that. So we don't want this to be 5. So far it's 3. But if it turns into 5, then I would expect 3 up, and then I would expect 5 back down and then go up. And then it becomes way bigger than you think it's going to be, right? But it's still a wave 1, and this still is a wave 2. So I think for the most part, we have a lot of wiggle room to work with. So I think we're good right now. So, all right. So Bitcoin is kind of interesting. Again, I think this could be, flagging out in here for another move up. Or if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we could get a little bit of bigger ABC before going up. So Bitcoin's a little bit trickier because it's stuck in the middle here. And I'm sure you got bearish divergence. Yeah, look at all the divergence in there. Very, very strong bearish divergence. So, yeah, I think we touched on a little bit on Bitcoin, but yeah, nothing really special here. Again, I think this is 1, 2, 3, and then this is well, actually, you can look at it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third, right? So you have A, B, and then a 5-wave C wave. And now we have an impulse here. So is this impulse finished? And we have to pull back for another impulse? Yeah, that's definitely. So I would look at this line here, and then I would look at this line here. So we're closer to the top than we are to the bottom, right? So we'll see. Do we have to test this first before we break this? I don't know. That's a good question. It looks like we're kind of flagging out, kind of like how we flagged out here, a reverse flag. So we shall see. Or even right here, you can see Bitcoin likes to do these reverse flags. They're all over the place, to be honest. Here, there's another one right here, a big one, a reverse flag. So are we doing something like that? Well, let me see here. There's even one more, or there's another one here, right there. So you can see this was a little bit of a bad example, but basically you have the rise, the crash, right? And then you're going into the retracement levels, and then you kind of flag out like that. So if you look at it from that perspective, obviously we haven't taken the top yet, but if we flag out in here, this could easily just continue higher. And I think it very well should. All right, what else is going on? I mean, obviously we're down today. Like AVAX is down 4%. That's a little bit aggressive. So, I mean, you got AVAX, and then you have SHIB, and they both look pretty similar. So, start here with SHIB real quick. I like what I see, honestly. It looks like a three-way move up, right? And then now we're kind of flagging out. So let's see if that turns into a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Otherwise, you could see we're building a base, right? You could see we're going down, 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 down. But now it's kind of like we're chilling out in here. We're kind of going sideways now. So then the next setup would be going back. You have the sell side of the curve, you have the part where you flatten out, and then you have the buy side of the curve. I think the sell side of the curve is completely done. You could see 1, 2, right? You have 3, 4, and 5. So you have a 5-wave move. You have bullish divergence, right? And yeah, we just need a higher high, and a higher low, and we'll be good. You could see how we had a 3-wave move up and we completely crashed. And then we just didn't even go in a retrace. We just melted down. But this, you could even look at, is that a wave 1 here? You could even say that this is a 5-wave move. And I didn't even see that. This is a 5-wave move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Yeah. Or even a 1, 2, 1, 2. And this is a 3. And then we have a 4. And then we go up and shoot for a 5. Right? So, but what I was going to say is you could see if this was 3, you completely melted. This is 3, but look, you're flagging out as opposed to melting down. So this is setting up in a bullish posture for potential upside. Now, here's the thing though. This could turn into something else, like for example, a Wyckoff accumulation pattern where this has to come around and then come back up and then do this. Or if it's a different schematic, it could come down and give you a spring and then go back up, So do we get a spring phase in here? It's possible, but you can't look at it like that. You have to look at it like this is a base, right? And, you work at your job, you get a paycheck every 2 weeks, you throw $100 a week at it, right? I'm not saying for you to do that. I'm just saying in general. People throw, X amount of dollars per month based on whatever they save, if they can save. Everybody's situation is different. And I just look at this as dollar cost average. Just dollar cost average all throughout in here before this thing breaks out, because you got to have a longer term perspective. A lot of times they'll buy right in here, right? And then it'll keep dropping, and then they'll get rid of it, right? But for the most part, if somebody bought the dip right here, well, guess what? You're right at break even now. So, but the point is not break even. The point is making money, but it takes time to develop these structures, to develop these bases, right? You got to go sideways in order to go up. You can see, and SHIB is my favorite meme coin by a lot because of the structure of the chart. I love the structure of this chart. It's got a really nice base. It's got a really nice 3-way pullback on top of the base. It doesn't have any crazy valuations, right? Basically, SHIB had one bull run, and that was right there. And, this whole thing, I look at it as a base, right? So, I'm expecting, and And basically we have 1, 2, 3. We have an A, B, C in here. All right, let me get rid of this color because it's driving me nuts. So we have this A, B, C in here, which is pretty much, I believe, a done deal. You know, we're back testing in here. So I want to see this thing move up, and I believe we will. But again, over a period of time, not immediately, over a period of time. So near, you know, if this is finished, if this 3-wave move is finished, then we expect a retrace. But before that, we want to see a base get built, maybe some divergences, maybe a Wyckoff, something, right? Or you could just simply have a V-shaped recovery, and this could be like a wave 2, wave 3, and 4 and 5, and it could be fast, and then flag out, and then go, right? So there's a lot of shapes and sizes. Preferably, I would prefer it to build a little bit of a structure here, just kind of oscillate back and forth, right? You know, we do have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we do have enough waves. The question is this an A, B, C? Is that a flat? Right? So this could be 1, 2. All of that's 3. And then we have a flat for a 4. And then you still need a wave 5. And then you build your base. And then you go. Right? That to me would be worst case scenario. And that would explain the summer months coming up, because I think summer could be bad. I mean, summer has traditionally been bad, right? But maybe not this summer. I mean, obviously everything's kind of twisted, you know, it's not a normal environment. Let's just put it that way. I mean, you have so many things going on. So, ADA is looking all right. Not too bad. I like how we're just sort of consolidating in here. We're kind of in a range a little bit. And if you look left, always look left. Unless you're in Congress, then you shouldn't look left. Yeah, we're very nicely developing a base in here. So I would say these are the lines you definitely want to hold above for ADA. So as long as we make a higher low, we're set. You can see, right, this is clearly an impulse, and you can see we're flagging out in here. So as long as we hold support and we start curling back up, I think we're in good shape, very good shape. You can see, right, 3 waves down, you see 3 waves up, and then you say 1, 2, 3 down. So it's a perfect move. It's a perfect move. But what the hell is that? I don't know, and we'll have to. It's not developed yet, and that's what we're waiting for. Maybe it could be a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you pop for the 3. Maybe it's 3 up. Maybe it's 3 waves up, and then you get 3 waves down, and then you get for the retrace. So it could be a little bit of screwing around in here for a while. So yeah, that's ADA. And what else we got here? Oh, Theta. I'm gonna look at Theta in just a second. Let's knock out Monero first. Okay, so Monero's not doing too bad. I mean, Monero's actually doing better than all of them over the last couple of weeks, I would imagine, because you had this big breakout move. I mean, look at Monero compared to any other coin. You can look at ADA, Matic, Ethereum, Bitcoin, XRP, any coin you want. Monero has a move like that, right? And they go, oh, it was a Bitcoin hack. Well, if it was a Bitcoin hack, then why is it still up there? You know? It was a legit breakout, and we've been talking about Monero since, I want to say, like October, November, December, right through here. And we really started talking about it in here and explaining that what this is extremely bullish. And the reason why it's extremely bullish is because of the overall chart of what it represents. which is the same chart as XRP, right? You have the rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. You go sideways for what, 2-3 years. This is a 7-year structure here, guys. You're cupping into the resistance. You're cupping into the resistance. This is a very good chart. So if you zoom in just to the last, from July 22 to really basically 2.5 years there, right? So we had this range right there, and you could see we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 waves up. So, I'm sorry, that's a 5-wave move. But what I mean is this could be a 1, 2, 1, 2, and another 1, 2, right? It could be. But here's the point I'm trying to emphasize. When we broke this range, what did we do? We broke out, we back tested it, we came up, we took the high, and then we came back, made a higher low. What is that called? That is a running flat. And then what happened after that running flat? We've been talking about it, right? We were flagging out in here, and we talked about that, right? This is a 3-wave move flag. And then what happened? Bam, we got the big breakout. And it still hasn't back tested, right? Most of the time, if it was a hack, or if it was a scam or whatever, what happens is the price will break out, but it'll quickly come back down because investors will be spooked, right? But obviously investors are not spooked because they're the opposite of spooked because we haven't even back tested yet. A lot of times the price will break out and immediately back test. We haven't back tested. We could still do that. Maybe it just hasn't had enough time to do it yet. But let's zoom in and see what we got here. It's very challenging. Wave structure, I'm not so sure. But basically, this is all corrective. So I don't know. Obviously, we have the A right there. There's the A. So is this right there a B? And then this down here could be maybe a C? That's possible. Or this whole thing could be a B up here. And then you get the C down here and then go up. That's also possible. Or it could be like an A, B, C, and it's already done. It's some kind of flat, and now this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, and now we're gearing up here. It could be kind of like an ascending triangle a little bit. Actually, it looks okay for an ascending triangle. So we'll see. You got a little bit of a 3-wave move there. So I'm a hodler. I don't really care. So we'll see how it goes. Theta. I like Theta. I still like Theta. It looks great. The only difference there's a little bit of a tweak, but we'll talk about it. But essentially Theta on this chart, and let's go to the big time frames and just really quick recap the big time frames in case somebody's new. So I think Theta I think it's a good coin. I think it's going to do well in the future. The only problem with Theta is that it had such a massive, insane percentage increase that it could be the reason why it's kind of lackluster now. But that will be short-lived, right? So, look at XRP. Look how long XRP went sideways. Everyone thought it was just a dead, weak coin. But it was actually because the 2018 rally was so significant, it just took a lot longer for that move to correct. So, not saying that has to be the case, but let's talk about it. So, the first idea would be, let's just knock out the super bearish idea first. The super ultra bearish idea is that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A. This is 3 waves up. It's a flat. It's a B. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down for C. And then you basically have to take this low, maybe even dropping down to like 25, 30 cents before then rampaging insanely, right? If we did do this scenario, you would be a millionaire. Because if you took what you have, like maybe, let's say you had $1,000 and you put it here at 30 cents and this thing went up to like $100, I mean, that would be some serious cash. But, you know, so that's the bearish idea. And it really would be very bullish ultimately in the end, but short-term bearish. The bullish idea, short-term bullish idea would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 3 waves up, you have 3 waves down, and this is part of a more complex B wave, and then you get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. So it becomes a 3-wave B. And then you got to come back down and kind of go sideways like what Monero did, kind of a little bit for a C, and then go up. So some kind of running flat situation or a rise, crash, retrace. So that was kind of the bullish. The ultra bullish idea for Theta is this right here. So I call it the W model, right? Or even the Ethereum model or total 3. But basically what this is a 3-wave move down to test the low. A 3-wave move down to test the low, right? Obviously you had the rise, the crash, the retrace, the rise, the crash, the retrace, right? And then you got that 3-wave move down. And then ultimately what happens, you kind of just rapidly increase in value. So could this be the ultimate bullish idea? I mean, possibly. Let's see how it works out. But that's the ultra bull idea. And you can see it's a W shape, right? It's in the shape of that W. So are we going to get that? I mean, it looks like it's totally set up for it. So we shall see. Okay. Speaking of Ethereum, maybe we'll jump on that one a little bit. So now, as far as the small time frames go, the whole idea here is for this wave to be finished. Once that wave is finished, I think we're set. So, and I think it could be finished because you have bullish divergence. You have 1, 2, looks like 3, 4, 5. It looks like we're good. So the only thing I don't know is this, how long this took. Could be like this, and this could be 1, 2. All of that could be 3. This could be 4, and then we still need a wave 5. That would be very bearish. I mean, for the short term, and then you kind of develop a base, and then you go up. So I'm not sure which ones are going to be. I hope we don't have to take the low. I hope the fifth wave is in. I would imagine it is because of the bullish divergence we've had. You know, we got bullish divergence in here. So let's see on the daily chart too. So let's see how it goes. But not only that, when you look closely, you sort of have a little double bottom here. But not only that, if you look even closer, and let's go to the other Theta chart. If you look closer, you can see, right? You got a double bottom or a triple bottom, but you have, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have a 5-wave move. That's exactly what you want. So there's your wave 1, right? And then you have a 3-wave pullback. That could be a wave 2. And now you're creating a base, and let's go up for a 3. Very simple, right? The other problem, though, is that this could be, or this looks like it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, right? That's a 1. And then if that's 5 down, then this should be A, B, C for a B. So that would be A, this would be B, and then we would still have to come down for a C and then go up. And we could still come back and revisit like 64 cents or so. So we'll see if that is the case, but those are basically the two ideas. If this is flagging out in here and creating a little bit of a base, let's see if we can really start to accelerate out of here, right? Or you could see a shoulder, a head, maybe we come up and make that other shoulder. Or if this is going to flag out and come down, then we're just building the range, right? So we're going to the top of the range, to the bottom, to the top. And then let's say we have to come back to the bottom. This could be our Wyckoff situation in here, where we have a schematic, or you have a spring phase, which actually takes the low, but it very quickly reverses and then continues. So this is called the bottoming process. It takes time. It takes patience. So that's pretty much it for Theta. XRP versus Bitcoin looks like a disaster. It's breaking down. But it's not a disaster. We talked about what this is. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like we're going to get 5. That's good. Why is that good? Because you have 3 down, you have 3 up, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. That's an ABC. So if we get an ABC, that would be good. So you have 3 down, 3 up, and then 3 down. So we'll see. I think I'm going to keep it shorter. I mean, XLM looks pretty good, right? I mean, look at that. We're flagging out in here. So we're developing a base. I mean, it looks like it. So, yeah, the next step is just finishing the base, breaking the range, and getting to the retrace. And that's for all the coins. So, same with HBAR. It looks pretty good. I mean, HBAR, you got 3 up. This could come back down in 3 and then kind of continue higher. Kind of like what happened here. You had 3 waves up, you had 3 waves down, and then you exploded. So this could be 3 waves up, 3 waves down, and then let's go. Matic. Don't sleep on Matic, guys. I think Matic's going to be a big one, man. I think it will. Because if you look at the structure, it's been correcting for a long time. I mean, this thing's been flagging out for a long time. So, and it looks pretty interesting to me. Very interesting, because look at the shape of this. You have 3 down, you have 3 up, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. And that, that could be a completed move. So this could be a wave 4, and now we're going to explode to a wave 5, which would be pretty crazy. Ethereum, I don't know really about Ethereum. I mean, I do know. I just, I would imagine we're going to play around in here and then get a retrace. Pretty simple, right? You got a 3-wave move down. Let's see what happens after that. Bitcoin dominance is still pumping. This is not going to end well for Bitcoin, though. People are excited that it's pumping the Bitcoin holders, but honestly, it's getting very dangerous because you're right in the middle of these retrace levels. Now, could you just go and break out? I mean, I don't know. Honestly. Theta Fuel, I don't own a lot of Bitcoin, really. I trade it. I don't really hodl it. I just don't see the point. I mean, obviously, if I was super, super rich and I didn't want to deal with crypto or the headache, I would just put it all in Bitcoin and just, it'd be a slow rise. But even if I probably still wouldn't do that. I would just put it in an XRP or something. Theta Fuel, you got 3 up, you got 3 down, looking for 5, and it becomes a 3. So that's what I want to see, unless this is going to do that and then go up, but I don't think so. It doesn't look proportional. All right, that's about it. Everything else, you can extrapolate from what we've been discussing here. So yeah. Anyways, that'll do it. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you can hit the like, subscribe, drop a comment, let me know what you think. And again, look out for a members video this week. And I've just been very busy lately, doing things. And but yeah, I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.